Florida starts pressure on school districts to comply with anti-LGBTQ plus new rules. The State Board of Education in Florida met today to discuss school district compliance with the state's new Parents' Bill of Rights. Last month, the state's Department of Education sent letters to 10 districts statewide asking them to confirm they had updated their policies and guides to comply with new rules passed by the board in October. Many of the issues cited in the individual letters dealt with LGBTQ plus student privacy and the use of bathroom and locker facilities by transgender students. Jacob Oliva, senior chancellor of the Florida Department of Education, wrote letters to select school districts in November, citing specific examples where existing district policies and publications did not comply with the new rules. The districts included Alachua County, Brevard County, Broward County, Duval County, Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind, Hillsborough County, Indian River County, Leon County, Miami-Dade County, and Palm Beach County. Under Florida's controversial HB 1557, passed and signed into law earlier this year, parents must be notified of any changes related to their child's health and well-being and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive education. The new rules were passed on October 19th. Joe Saunders, senior political director at Equality Florida, described new rules as an, quote, an attempt to bully and intimidate districts, end quote, that accommodate gender students in a press release at the time. You know, this is scary times that this is now going to be implemented. I mean, think about it. Trans kids not being able to use the bathroom with the one that they identify with, being dead named by their teacher, not being, people not using the right pronouns to address them. This, you know what this leads to? Bullying, and what it leads to? Suicide. Those are two things that this will undeniably, I guarantee, we will start telling stories about that right here on Queer News Tonight with days to come.
And of course it will lead to bullying because this is bullying.
Yeah.
It's bullying from the state level.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, anything. I take heart in what we're watching in Ukraine. And we're watching a marginalized group in invasion by a bully, to say this is what you're going to do and you're going to surrender. And everyone in the first weeks thought, Ukraine is just going to topple and fall. And the reason I mention that is in Florida, I see some similarities. Our Putin is Governor Ron DeSantis. And our Russia is Tallahassee in the legislature. And they're bullies and they're going to do what they want, however they want to do it. And your responsibility is to capitulate. But what we've learned in Ukraine is that's not always a good idea, because the Ukrainians that we have here in Florida are the students that are being marginalized and the teachers that are beginning in subtle ways to fight, and the school boards like Broward County and the counties, Alachua is a dog whistle. Wait, Alachua, you're not doing what we say. Well, why is that? That's where the University of Florida is, and Alachua is the only blue island in upper North Florida and the Panhandle, and they're not following this. And so there's going to be more and more and more of Ukrainian thinking of going, no, we're going to kind of figure out how to beat you at this. Now, we can't beat you because you're Russia, but we're going to figure out ways to bypass and do it. And one of the examples of that is recently I went to the Rafa Center's event 2 weeks ago, and Justin Jones, who is the president of the Rafa Center, is an organization especially principally for Black and people of color in terms of AIDS and HIV health education. His job is working in Miami-Dade County. And as I interviewed him, and we did a report piece on the Rafa gala that they did, I find out that he works for Miami-Dade County Schools. And what does he do for Miami-Dade County Schools? He is the compliance officer for Miami-Dade County Schools that administers funds that come from the state of Florida and the federally Department of Education. For one of the principal things that he does is to make sure that Miami-Dade County is Don't Say Gay compliant.
Oh my goodness.
He is a Black gay guy. Eventually, the Ukrainians are going to find ways to stand up against Putin and Russia, and they will be successful. It's just a little clip of how the possibilities of success in the future are going to come.
One thing I hope that people are looking at, in this bill, it says that parents must be notified. And in that, there's an assumption that every kid goes home to this happy-go-lucky family life. And most of the time, school is the safe space and home is the unsafe space. And so when you start notifying parents, making the child then not be able to trust anyone at school. Now they have nowhere to go. But also, what happens to that child when they go home? I mean, this can be very, very dangerous, right? And the idea that no one is considering the fallout from this, I mean, a judge or someone needs to step in and go, wait a second. We're putting kids' lives at risk. We can't allow this to go forward. They've thrown out other parts of DeSantis' bills. You know, they don't talk about that enough. He passes these things, but then a lot of the big parts of the bills get thrown out. This is a part that really needs to get thrown out. You cannot just call a child's home. You don't know the parents and start outing them and start telling them things, right? This is very dangerous.
No, to your point, Paul, you know, when I was 7 years old and I was still in Colombia at the time, and my teacher caught me with my little boyfriend at the time, we were holding hands during recess. Aww. And if that teacher would have called my father, I would not be here today. You know, that's how my, you know, it was just a very...
I mean, in terms of physical?
Oh, absolutely. Response. Absolutely. My father would have beat me to the pulp.
And then thrown you outside. Yeah. And then you would have been on your own.
Yeah. And this is, you know, exactly. And this is
what I mean.
This is what happens. Yeah. So it's incredibly dangerous.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.